On the night Marcus Harrington thought he was about to lose his mother forever, a scream tore through the mansion that froze him in place. Doctors had failed, specialists had shrugged, and science had reached a dead end. But when he burst into Evelyn's room, it wasn't a surgeon or a miracle machine standing beside her, it was Lena, the quiet housekeeper no one paid attention to, leaning over his mother with a calm that made his heart stop. What Lena found beneath Evelyn's skin would shatter everything Marcus believed about fear, hope, and the people we underestimate most. The winter sun hung low over Portland, Oregon, casting a pale glow across the sprawling Harrington estate. From the outside, the mansion looked untouchable, serene even, like a castle untouched by tragedy. But inside, beneath the polished floors and immaculate chandeliers, there was a fear that pressed into every room. A fear no amount of wealth could silence. Marcus Harrington had grown accustomed to power, to solving problems with a single call or a blank check. But nothing he tried had eased the agony tormenting his mother, Evelyn, for the past 7 months. The strongest woman he knew, a matriarch who once ran the household with elegance and unshakable confidence, was now a shell of herself. Migraines so violent they blurred her vision. Pressure so intense she often collapsed into a chair just to keep from screaming. Doctors said she was fine. Specialists reviewed every scan and insisted nothing was wrong. But Marcus could hear her muffled sobs each night through the thin crack under her bedroom door. Evelyn Harrington was slipping away, and no one knew why. The staff moved around the mansion on tiptoe, careful not to disturb the fragile quiet. Among them was Lena Brooks, the newest hire. She was young, soft-spoken, and almost ghost-like in her movements, as if determined not to occupy more space than necessary. Marcus barely noticed her on most days. But Evelyn did. There was something about Lena, something calm and grounded, that soothed her simply by being near. No one knew that Lena carried a past she rarely spoke of. Raised in a forgotten rural town by a grandmother who understood illnesses beyond textbooks, she had learned to see things differently. Not magically, not supernaturally, just differently. Her grandmother always said the body whispers before it screams. Lena had listened well. On that morning, the whisper finally became a scream. Lena was polishing the hallway railing when a sound tore through the silence. A sharp, guttural cry from Evelyn's room, followed by a choked gasp. Lena froze. She had heard Evelyn suffer before, but this was different. This was terror. She hesitated. Housekeepers did not simply walk into private rooms. The Harringtons had rules. But another cry split the air, raw and desperate, and Lena reacted before she could think. She pushed the door open. Evelyn sat hunched on the edge of her bed, fingers digging into her scalp, tears smeared across her face. She looked like someone fighting an invisible hand wrapped around her skull. When she met Lena's eyes, there was no anger, only fear, pleading, surrender. Lena stepped closer. "Mrs. Harrington, may I help you?" Her voice trembled despite her effort to sound calm. Evelyn couldn't speak. She simply nodded, breath ragged, eyes unfocused from the pain. Lena moved behind her, lifting strands of Evelyn's silver hair with gentle fingertips. She wasn't sure what she expected to find, but then she saw it. A small patch of skin, slightly swollen, more tender and red than the rest of her scalp. Something about it felt wrong, almost alive in a way healthy skin never should. Before she could inspect further, the bedroom door slammed open. Marcus stood there panting, panic etched deep into his face. His gaze locked onto Lena, his posture hardening instantly. "What are you doing?" he snapped, rushing forward. Lena stepped back, but Evelyn reached out weakly, catching Marcus's sleeve. "Stop," she whispered. "Let her." Marcus froze, confused but obedient. Evelyn rarely gave commands anymore. Her voice carried the final pieces of her strength. Lena swallowed hard and returned to the red patch of skin. Her fingers, steady but cold, brushed lightly across the area. A memory flashed through her mind. Her grandmother's voice. A story about travelers who returned from humid regions with strange skin irritations. A warning about small, nearly invisible punctures where insects sometimes laid eggs. Surely not here. Not in a mansion like this. Not in someone as carefully tended as Evelyn. But then Lena saw it. A pinpoint-sized black dot. And beneath it, a subtle ripple of motion. Her stomach clenched. "Mrs. Harrington, I need you to stay very still," Lena whispered. Marcus took an involuntary step back, sensing something was wrong but unable to comprehend what he was seeing. Without taking her eyes off the spot, Lena said quietly, "I need a fine comb, tweezers, rubbing alcohol, and a small container. Please." Marcus blinked. "Why?" Evelyn let out a broken whimper that answered for Lena. Marcus didn't argue again. He sprinted out of the room. Lena moved with careful determination, though her pulse hammered in her throat. When Marcus returned, breathless, she nodded gratefully. She parted Evelyn's hair and examined the skin with a precision even she didn't know she still possessed. As she pressed lightly around the dark spot, something pushed upward beneath the skin. Marcus flinched, but Lena didn't. She steadied the tweezers. Deep breath, Mrs. Harrington. A thin, pale form slid through the small puncture like a nightmare emerging into daylight. Evelyn cried out. Marcus gasped. Lena held firm, pulling with just enough pressure not to break it. When the creature dropped into the container, writhing weakly, Marcus stumbled backward. What is that? Lena didn't answer immediately. She inspected Evelyn again, her hands working with urgency and dread. 2 more swollen spots, 2 more tiny movements beneath the surface. Lena extracted each larva with steady precision while Marcus watched in frozen horror. By the time she finished, sweat had gathered along her temples. Evelyn slumped back, breathing in deep, shuddering relief. Her face, moments ago twisted in agony, now softened as though clouds were finally lifting. Lena cleaned the scalp meticulously, her fear fading into quiet focus. When she finally stepped back, Marcus spoke, voice trembling. How did you know? How did you even see that? Lena lowered her gaze. I've seen something like it before, a rare insect infestation. My grandmother treated a few cases in our town. I wasn't sure until now. Marcus stared at her like he was seeing her for the first time, not as a housekeeper, not as someone backgrounded by wealth, but as someone extraordinary. Evelyn reached for Lena's hand, squeezing it weakly. Thank you, she whispered. It was the strongest she had sounded in months. Marcus stood still, shaken and humbled. He had spent hundreds of thousands of dollars chasing answers, and the solution had been standing silently in his home the entire time. Lena simply exhaled, relieved Evelyn was safe. She didn't want praise. She only cared that the pain was gone. Would you have trusted Lena in that moment if you were Marcus? Yes or no? For the first time in months, the Harrington mansion exhaled. The air felt lighter, almost cleansed, as if the walls themselves had been holding their breath alongside Evelyn. She slept for nearly 12 hours after Lena's intervention, a deep, quiet rest that Marcus had thought he might never see again. When she finally woke, the haze in her eyes was gone, her voice steadier, her smile faint but unmistakably real. Marcus stood quietly by her bedroom door that morning, watching her eat a small breakfast. Something inside him twisted, a mixture of relief, guilt, and astonishment. He had hired the best specialists money could buy. He had flown her across the country for her tests. He had emptied accounts, begged experts, demanded answers. Yet nothing he did even came close to what Lena accomplished with a comb, a pair of tweezers, and knowledge passed down from a grandmother in a forgotten rural town. He couldn't stop replaying the moment in his head. Evelyn gripping Lena's hand, the small gasp of relief as the last larva came free, the look on Lena's face fierce with focus but trembling the second it was over, as though she herself hadn't realized what she'd done until afterward. When Evelyn finished her meal, she looked over at her son. Her voice was gentle. You should thank her properly, Marcus. I will, he said quietly, but somehow it never feels like enough. Later that day, Lena moved through the halls with her usual quiet diligence, but something had changed. The other staff members watched her with a mix of curiosity and respect. Word had traveled fast. People didn't know the details, but they knew enough. Evelyn Harrington had nearly lost her life, and Lena had somehow stopped it. Marcus found her in the laundry room folding towels with the same careful precision she used before anyone considered her remarkable. She looked up when he entered, startled, nearly dropping a towel. You don't need to be afraid of me, he said quickly, noticing how she stiffened. I'm not afraid. I'm just not used to people looking for me, she replied softly. He didn't know how to begin. Nothing felt adequate. He had rehearsed words on his way down, but the moment he saw her, every line felt too small. My mother is alive because of you, he said simply. I don't know how to thank you. Lena shook her head. Anyone would have helped her. I just happened to recognize the signs. No, Marcus stepped closer. That isn't true. Dozens of professionals saw her. None of them saw what you did. None of them even thought to look. But you listened. You noticed what no one else did. She lowered her gaze, uncomfortable under praise she never sought. Marcus continued, more firmly this time. I want to give you a raise, a significant one, and a permanent position here, with full benefits. Her eyes widened with panic as though he had offered her a title she wasn't worthy of. Mr. Harrington, I didn't do this for money. Please don't misunderstand. I'm not paying you for saving her, he said. I'm thanking you for being someone who cared when others didn't. Lena hesitated, torn between humility and a lifetime of being taught never to accept more than she deserved. "I'll accept a small raise," she finally whispered, "but nothing extravagant." Marcus tried not to smile. "I think we can find a middle ground." For the next week, Evelyn improved rapidly. Her color returned, her steps steadied. The staff, long accustomed to a sick, withdrawn figure wandering like a ghost, now saw the woman she once had been. Elegant, sharp-witted, and quietly commanding. And Evelyn adored Lena. Almost every afternoon, she asked the young woman to sit with her while she enjoyed tea near the library window. She wanted to hear about Lena's grandmother, about the remedies, the strange cases, the quiet wisdom that seemed to breathe through generations. Lena rarely spoke about her childhood, but with Evelyn, she opened up more than she expected. It felt safe somehow, sharing pieces of a life she'd kept tucked away. One afternoon, as the winter rain drummed softly against the window, Evelyn placed her hand over Lena's. "You saved me," she said, not with drama, but with deep sincerity. "And I want you to know I don't take that lightly." Lena swallowed hard. "I'm just glad you're better." "Better because of you. You must let yourself accept that." Lena didn't know how to respond, so she looked toward the garden instead. A lone bird hopped across the snow-dusted stones, pecking softly for seeds. It reminded her of home, of her grandmother's bard, of simpler days, before she came to a city that swallowed people whole. That evening, Marcus found himself lingering at the bottom of the staircase while Lena passed with a tray. He watched her move with quiet grace, confident enough to walk through the halls now, but humble enough to remain unseen unless someone looked directly at her. She felt him watching and paused. "Is something wrong, Mr. Harrington?" He cleared his throat. "No, I was thinking about everything that's happened. I'm still trying to understand how all of this went unnoticed." Lena chose her words carefully. "Sometimes the truth hides in places people don't think to check. We look for answers in machines, in data, in things that shine. But some answers live in the quiet, in details that don't make sense until someone stops long enough to look." Marcus studied her for a moment. She wasn't lecturing him. She wasn't trying to sound wise. She was simply speaking a truth that felt larger than her. He nodded slowly. "I think I've spent too much of my life looking at the wrong places." Lena didn't respond. She just offered a small, gentle smile before continuing down the hall. Later that night, Marcus sat alone in his study. A glass of untouched whiskey rested on his desk, next to a photo of him and Evelyn from years ago. He realized he had been waiting for a miracle wrapped in science and certainty, yet it had arrived in the form of a quiet woman with steady hands and a knowledge no textbook had taught. And for the first time, Marcus wondered not just how Lena had seen what others missed, but what else she carried that the world had overlooked. Do you feel that Marcus is beginning to see Lena differently after everything she has done? Yes or no? Spring arrived quietly in Portland, and with it came a warmth that settled over the Harrington estate like a long overdue blessing. The house no longer felt tense, no longer echoed with pain or uncertainty. Evelyn moved through the halls with renewed energy, greeting the staff, tending to her garden, and even joining Marcus for breakfast at the dining table. Something she hadn't done in nearly a year. The color had returned to her face, but more importantly, the light had returned to her eyes. And at the center of this quiet rebirth was Lena. She had not changed much in appearance, still modest, still soft-spoken, still moving through the house as though trying not to disturb the air itself. But everyone noticed the shift in how people looked at her. She wasn't invisible anymore. She wasn't the new girl or the background presence. She had become a quiet pillar of the household, someone people trusted instinctively. Marcus found himself watching her more often, though he tried to disguise it as curiosity or responsibility. But it was undeniably more than that. The gratitude he felt had deepened into something quieter, something that pulled at him in moments he didn't expect. When she smiled at Evelyn, when she paused by the window to watch the rain, when she tucked a stray lock of hair behind her ear while concentrating on her work. There was a gentleness in her that felt rare in his world, a world built on deals, deadlines, and relentless ambition. Still, he said nothing, not out of fear, but out of respect. What Lena had brought into their lives wasn't something he wanted to tarnish with haste or expectation. One afternoon, Evelyn invited Lena and Marcus to join her for tea in the garden. The cherry blossoms were beginning to bloom, scattering petals across the stone path like soft pink snow. Evelyn settled into her favorite chair, wrapped in a shawl, looking years younger. "Sit with me," she said, patting the empty seats beside her. Lena hesitated until Marcus gently encouraged her to sit. As the three of them shared tea, Evelyn studied them with eyes that had regained both sharpness and warmth. "You know," she began, stirring her cup slowly, When you are close to losing your life, you learn to notice things you overlooked before. Marcus glanced at her, worried she might be referring to the pain, but Evelyn smiled knowingly. I don't mean the larva, I mean people. Their hearts, their intentions. Lena's cheeks warmed. She bowed her head, embarrassed. Mrs. Harrington, you don't have to say these things. But I do, Evelyn insisted gently. You saved me. Not just because you recognized something no doctor did. You saved me because you cared. Because you were brave enough to act when others hesitated. Lena's eyes softened with emotion. She had never expected praise from the woman she admired so much. Marcus cleared his throat. Lena, she's right. What you did changed everything for us. Lena shook her head. I was just doing what felt right. And that, Evelyn said firmly, is why it mattered. The moment hung in the air, warm and tender. Marcus realized then that he had been waiting for the perfect opportunity to speak, and this was it. Lena, he said, turning toward her, there's something I've been meaning to ask you. She looked up, uncertain. Yes? I know this house has become a second home for you, and I hope it continues to be. But I also know you've carried burdens and memories from your past that you rarely talk about. If there's ever anything you want to pursue, anything you want to learn or accomplish beyond this job, I want to support you, not because you saved my mother, because you deserve the chance to grow. Lena blinked in surprise. I don't know what to say. Evelyn smiled. Say you'll consider it. Emotion pooled behind Lena's eyes. She had spent most of her life being told to stay small, stay quiet, stay grateful for whatever she was given. No one had ever offered her a chance to dream bigger. I'll consider it, she whispered. Over the next several weeks, Lena began taking small steps toward the life she had never imagined possible. Marcus arranged evening classes at a local community college so she could study nursing, something she had quietly hoped to pursue someday. Evelyn insisted on helping her choose textbooks and bought her a notebook embroidered with her initials. The staff celebrated her the way families celebrate one of their own. Every night, Lena returned to her small room in the mansion and opened her notebook, staring at the blank pages with equal parts nervousness and pride. She had saved Evelyn's life, but perhaps, without realizing it, Evelyn and Marcus had saved hers too. One evening, Marcus found her in the garden after her class. She stood under the blooming cherry tree, watching the petals drift in the warm wind. How was school tonight? He asked gently. It felt strange, she admitted. Good, but strange, like I'm stepping into a world I'm not sure belongs to me. Marcus stepped closer. It belongs to you if you choose it. You've earned every part of it. She looked up at him then, really looked, and for a moment everything around them fell quiet. Not because of fear or discomfort, but because of understanding, gratitude, respect. Something tender that neither of them needed to name yet. Thank you, she said softly, for believing in me. Marcus felt something tighten pleasantly in his chest. You made it very easy. As the sun dipped behind the trees, the three of them, an unlikely family shaped by pain, courage, and quiet strength, found themselves standing on the edge of a new beginning. The Harrington mansion, once filled with dread, now breathed with laughter, learning, and life. And Lena, the girl who arrived unnoticed, had become the heartbeat of it all. Would you like to see more stories where a simple act of courage changes someone's life, yes or no? If this story touched your heart, feel free to comment below, share your thoughts, and tell me what country you are watching from. If you enjoyed this story, please like, subscribe, and tap the bell so you never miss a new video. And don't forget to share it with someone who might need a little hope today.